Hi, Chris McLoone here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Welcome to this episode of our podcast. Going off on a different subject a little bit today. We're going to be talking about Decon at the fire ground. And what got me onto this was that it's a very specific program, and it does have a couple of specific rigs dedicated to the program. The program is in Pasco County, Florida. That's for Pasco County, Florida Fire Rescue. And with me today is Chief J.J. Martinez of that department, and he's going to talk to us about the program. One of the things that the reason I wanted to go this route is because obviously firefighter cancer has become very, very, the awareness level has gone way up within the past 10 years, obviously. There are a variety of programs around the country. We all went through the clean cab concept there for a while. Some people really jumped on board with it and ran with it. Other people absolutely hated it. So what I wanted to do with this was just bring to the front just a different type of program, a program that you might be able to implement or that you might be able to take pieces of to implement in your own fire company. It's a Decon. We're talking about PPE Decon here. So Chief, thank you very, very much for joining me today. I gave you a real quick intro just to say where you were from, but before we get rolling into this, could you introduce yourself and talk about your role in the department?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, just thank you for having me here. It's a real honor to be on here. I'm the Health and Safety Chief for Pasco County Fire Rescue. We're a county just north of Tampa. We got about 850 firefighters right now. We're growing up to almost 1,000 within the next year or two. So been in this role since January, been with the department for almost 17 years. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart.
So could you describe the circumstances behind developing this on-scene Decon program? Was there a different program in place before it that you were tweaking? Was there a specific incident that led to the development of this? Just talk about how you came up with this, the department.
Well, I think our department deals with what every other department is dealing with. You always hear second set of bunker gear, clean cab. There are so many different varieties and options of trying to decon or trying to get out of one set of bunker gear to get in another set. The chiefs before me, before I arrived here, took all those concepts and kind of put them together and said, why don't we have decon on scene itself? By doing that, if you get another fire, if you have two sets of bunker gear, you get a second fire, you're stuck with that extra, that set. So you're putting those contaminants back on you. This concept, it gives you that clean cab environment, but it also, you'll never have that reusing that gear at all.
Describe how the program works. I mean, I think when you get through it, it's a very simple program, but there are a number of steps in the program and a number of pieces to it that I was hoping to get to. So just describe the program as it exists right now.
So before I describe the program, I just want to tell you, to get this program working, it takes people, and we have some amazing people. I have two trucks, a Decon 1 and a Decon 2. Those Decon units have two people on each truck, and I have 3 shifts. So it takes the right people on those trucks to make this work. When a fire goes out, they're dispatched, they arrive on scene. Once we're done with that fire scene and we're slowly getting rid of units and they're going back in service or going to shower within an hour, they would drop off their dirty bunker gear. They would have their clean bunker gear, gloves, hood waiting for them. We clean their helmet, we clean their pack, and they bag their gear in a bag that will not allow off-gassing. That goes into a dirty compartment on our truck. It goes back to one of the 2 facilities we have. It's washed and given back to that firefighter their next shift.
Okay, so that's perfect. So they come out of a fire. So it's a working job. And so it's a confirmed working job. So Decon 1 or Decon 2 gets sent to the scene, right? And then, so is it anyone who has been in that IDLH environment that ends up coming out and doffing the gear and giving it to one of the Decon units, or is it just the initial attack line, maybe the backup line? And when it happens, they exit the structure, they go straight to the decon unit and doff the gear, and already right then and there's a spare set ready for them to use right away. Is that accurate?
That's a good question. No, that to answer your second question first, if
Sorry.
you don't mind. No, you're good. Once they're out of the ideal age situation, which is everybody decons that is in an ideal age situation, doesn't matter if it's a car fire or a regular fire, a structure fire, excuse me. They are then go to their unit. We do a gross decontamination out there. We have that process as well. In the state of Florida, they gave away green buckets to every department and every rig. Those green buckets had a brush in them, a hose in them, Dawn soap. We took it a step further, and we're hosing them down, and we're soon to be implementing a system that uses actual laundry soap for gear on scene. That's biodegradable. Spray them down with that while they're on air, and then hose them off, and then they can doff all that gear appropriately. They can reuse that gear going back in, but at the end of the scene in general, they go and they trade that gear out.
Gotcha. All right. And so when they trade it out, one of the decon units that is there has the spare gear already, or is that something that's dropped off at the station later?
And that's kind of what I was going in earlier. It takes buy-in because my guys have that gear lined up on a safe spot away from the scene, on tables with names, bags ready to go. I mean, that's what creates the buy-in. You know, we're in a customer service job. We really are. And we should bring that to ourselves as well. And when you go out of a fire scene, first thing you want to do is go back, shower, and relax. It's like, okay, am I going to decon? Am I not going to decon? But it's a lot easier when everything's sitting there waiting for you, ready to go. And that's what they're doing. They're just picking it up, putting their boots in there, washing everything, and then heading back.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get all the details to it, all the steps in the process. You mentioned how it's on a table, it's got names. Does that the spare gear, is that just is that specific to the firefighter? Or is it like we got, a bunch of medium coats, we got a bunch of large coats, just to get them by until the next shift? Or is it, a specific set of spare gear for the firefighters that are on scene?
So that's what's so great about our program. Our trucks are full of that spare gear. And like you said, it's by size. And we're rotating gear every 5 years in our department. So first 5 years, it's with a firefighter. The last 5 years of the life of that gear, it's going to be in a spare decon truck. So we have plenty of stock when it comes to that. And we could have 5 people of the same size and have that gear ready to go on a fire scene.
You mentioned SCBA a minute ago. The SCBA, though, that's going to be deconned and put back on the truck wherever it is, wherever it's stowed, or is that also is a new pack also part of this?
So that's what's so great about our unit, or about our program. Again, I keep saying it's great because I'm really excited about our program. It's definitely one of a kind. We have a micro unit on one of our trucks. We have actually 2 micro units on the trucks. They're like power dishwashers.
Gotcha.
It takes about 38 minutes for them to warm up. They don't get over a certain degree for NFPA standard, and it takes about 3 minutes for them to wash an SCBA pack. And also your helmets, gloves. We have radio harnesses that can go in there as well.
So they're going to get their helmet back right away. It's just the jacket, the bunker coat, and the bunker pants that are
pants. The pants and the jacket, and then also the hoods and gloves.
Oh, gotcha.
So hoods and gloves aren't specific to an individual. We see those as disposable items. And we will continue to just rotate those.
So the 2 firefighters on those rigs, are they the entire shift? I guess and I apologize if you already answered this. First of all, are they firefighters or civilians? And if they're firefighters, are they is their entire shift dedicated to that unit, or is the unit housed like with an engine company, and if it has to go, the two individuals are just pulled from the engine company to go on the decon rig?
So the way we operate is we split the county up into two, east and west side. We have a Decon 1 that's on the west side and Decon 2 that's on the east. They have two individuals. Both of those individuals are firefighters. That way they have the gear with them. If they need to pack out and go, they're also manpower. Okay. That's in an extreme situation. They also have medical equipment on that truck. So if they stumble upon an MVA or they're closer to a scene, we have two EMTs and or paramedics that can show up onto that scene and help out. So we find some great use in that, especially since they're returning the gear and constantly on the road. We do the same with our air trucks. All of our air trucks are either paramedics or EMTs, and they're also firefighters. They're ready to go if they need to. That's also part of the buy-in. They're your brothers and sisters are bringing gear to you. They want to see you clean. They want to see you deconned appropriately. So, our major goal in all of this is that people can live way past their retirement age and live healthy lives with their families.
For sure. That's what a lot of people have forgotten over the years. Even, like I look back sometimes and I'm like, I really hope I did everything right. So then when I stop being a firefighter, my sunset years are good ones and not spent, in treatment and stuff like that. That really is what it is at the end of the day. It's trying to ensure that when they retire, they got a long life ahead of them. Now, and I know this is like probably getting way more into the weeds than you wanted to get into, but like the substitute gear, when it is turned back in, is it laundered and then put back on the decon rigs, or does it just go straight back into the decon rig? Because you figure they probably had a call or two where maybe they were wearing the gear, maybe not in an IDLH environment though.
So all of our decon technicians are NFPA certified through an ISP. So they'll go to an ISP, we'll bring them in. We'll take that course, teaching them how to clean the gear and inspect it. Also with not only basic inspections, but advanced inspections, and teaches them how to clean the gear. When we get that gear back from the loaner gear back, we'll clean that the same way we do any other gear. So that way it's fresh, ready to go on that truck. And we know that it's ready for the next round. But I can tell you, most of the time when we inspect our gear, we do find, okay, here's a hole here. This needs to be repaired. It's interesting to see how many times this gear is used and how many times it can be repaired. In the past, you just put your gear on. Okay, that looks good. We're good to go, not knowing that there is some vulnerability to your gear and that could harm you in those IDLH situations. So these guys recognize that. We send it to an ISP to get repaired, and we get that back.
The ISP, I'm sorry, just to clarify, the department has a facility that's considered an ISP, or it is sent to like an outside company that's considered the ISP?
It's sent to an outside company, but our decon technicians are certified, like I said, in everything but basic and advanced repairs.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, all right. So, and that covers the ISP part of this. Let's talk a little bit about the rigs that you have there. So far as I understand it, and you'll have to correct me, I believe the two of them, or at least one of them, was a repurposed rig. One of them was a new rig, but having gone through the process now with those two units, you are looking at the next time they are replaced to go in a little bit of a different direction in terms of size and stuff like that.
Well, like anything in the fire service, it's, it takes experience. It takes knowledge. It takes, okay, let's try this. We're always trying something new. That's why there's always new innovations that come out. We started with a box truck that was repurposed into a decon unit, putting poles in there for our gear, having a makeshift bench. We put toolboxes underneath the rig where the dirty gear would go. And we used that for quite a bit while we were building the current rig we have now. The current rig we have now has air-conditioned area. It has two, like I said, Myco washing units on there for your helmets, your SCBA packs, and your mask. And most of that unit is utilized with gear itself. So it has that large area. After going from the repurposed box truck to this large Mac Daddy, I like to call it, Decon truck, we at Pasco County, we're a growing area every day, but we still have our dirt roads. We still have our narrow streets. Having a big truck like that is very nice, but I think our next unit is going to be a little smaller. It's almost like if you took the box truck we had and the truck we have now and married them, I believe it would be not only the appropriate size, but there are certain things that we would change on there. Just for the people out there listening, if they're thinking about doing a program like this, the micro units we had, the water tanks were above the electrical. Come to find out, that's not very good. Water doesn't mix with electric very well if it spills over. So our next unit will have that swapped, and it's just those little things that we're going to be changing with it.
You mentioned, anything in the fire service. It's experience. It's all about experience. It's all about going through it and then learning from not necessarily mistakes, but learning to do things maybe in a different way, a more efficient way. And so I wanted to get back to the program real quick. You mentioned that it was chiefs before you that originally started the program, but to the extent that you can you talk about how the department developed the program? What hiccups were experienced along the way before you figured out the best way to do this, and also besides that, besides the hiccups, when you think about what it takes to get the gear into the cycle, you had to establish a plan to get to the baseline where you had the gear in the system that was 5 years old and all that. So how long did it take? But what are some of those hiccups and experiences along the way that got you to where you are now?
Well, we started, as I mentioned, our area is growing tremendously. We're currently going into a D shift. That was agreed upon last year in our contract, and we'll be going to that in 2 years. So we're growing tremendously even then. But back when we first started the program, we had second sets of gear for everyone, and then we started growing and growing, and then that's costly. Mm-hmm. So you also we're thinking about clean cab options and where you're going to go from there. So that's where we combined the two and said, okay, if we put them in a truck and we go there, we clean everything on scene. You're never putting anything dirty back in your truck. It's clean cab. Some of the hiccups we had is hiccups with anything with health and safety oriented. It's buy-in. Mm-hmm. Tradition is strong with the fire service. Even when it comes to the negative aspects. One of our union representatives said that, even cancer, cardiac issues, they're tradition in the fire service. It's our job to change that tradition. Don't make that a tradition. Make deconning a tradition. Make staying healthy a tradition. If we do that, we change the narrative, and we're not going to be losing the firefighters we are now to cancer and cardiac issues. So I think that was the biggest hiccup for us, but we're a very family-oriented department. So we lost a firefighter not too long ago, and in the process, he had brain cancer. He became a big spokesman for our Decon program. And you talk about buy-in, that creates it. Unfortunately, we lost him, but it's not going to be in vain. He's going to live on through this process and through the everyday workings of what we do. And you could see it when people come. Sometimes it's hard. Changing the fire services. No one likes change and no one likes the way they are. It's the fire service. But I believe we're getting there. So, and we have that buy-in now. And it makes me real proud to be a Pasco fireman. So
when you talk about the buy-in, sometimes what assists with that is the mandatory nature of what you're doing. And just wondering, is this in ink somewhere that this is the policy, after every fire? And then, how long did it take to really get it so that was enforced every time?
Yeah, it needs to be welcomed and eased into. I always say you have that idea of even where we're at right now in our decon policy and process, you had to start somewhere. So our policy at first didn't say in every IDLH situation. We just had to slowly create that buy-in. And now that we have that buy-in, we're going to ink it and solidify it by saying, anytime you're in that IDLH situation, you're going to get decon and you're going to get clean gear. So
just is what it is.
Yeah.
This is obviously a major component of like an overall sort of decon program. Are there any other exposure reduction programs that the department has in place?
Yeah, so we're creating new stations every day. Pasco County is growing. Our new stations have a hot, warm, and cold zone. So when you get back to that station, we have an area where you can derobe, you can shower, and when you get back to the living quarters, you're not contaminated at all. You won't have anything on you that's contaminated. You're going to leave that shower clean. You're going to go to your room. You're going to get changed, and then you put yourself in service. So that's a huge thing that we're doing. Obviously, you can't do that in every station right away, but if we start somewhere, generations past me, we'll be doing it the right way.
Is there anything you can do with the legacy stations, just to limit that exposure, or when you're getting back? Or is there anything that you are doing with legacy stations besides taking them down and rebuilding?
Yeah, I can tell you a lot of the times when we go to the legacy stations, we'll derobe where we're at. We'll go right to the shower, and then just changing your idea of when you get back. I remember getting back after fires when I first started, and you sat in a chair, you grabbed something to eat, you drank water. These guys don't do that anymore. They're, we're going to hydrate, we're going to shower, and then we're going to change. That's the way it is. Another thing that we have done to limit the reduction of cancer and those contaminants that get on our gear is not keeping them in the bays anymore. We used to keep our gear in the bays. That's a traditional thing. But now, at some of the older stations, we built sheds, and we're slowly getting to the point where we're getting them out of the stations. Like I said, it's a process, but I truly believe that Pasco County and the administration we have now, they want to keep moving forward to protect our firefighters.
You mentioned moving forward just now. As you know, the program has obviously evolved from where it started to where it is now. Are there any forward-thinking things that you guys are already looking into to try to limit exposures even further than you are now with some of these programs?
Well, it's like I was telling you, the gross decon I always think that gross decon can go an extra step. Mm-hmm. But there are other departments doing that right now. Keeping your SCBA on while you're gross deconning. We used to take it off, but let that bell ring while you're gross deconning, and then slowly take your hood off and everything, then take your mask off. That way you're not inhaling those fumes. Another thing that's not along the decon process, but we have a rehab program that we're going to start implementing. Rehab is one of the most important things we can do in the fire service. Checking our gear, checking our guys medically, checking their vital signs, and getting them hydrated. We're in Florida. It's terribly hot, humid down here. So we need to start looking at different ways we can hydrate our men and women. They're athletes. That's what we are as firefighters. We're athletes. So we need to start looking into the $1 million companies that are the NFL or the MLB or these sports organizations. Spend millions of dollars that talk about rehab. And we need to see what they're doing, because we're the same way. We got out of a structure, that's our halftime. And guess what? We're going back in, we're playing another quarter. So I think that's some forward thinking that we're trying to look into, and different ways that we can rehydrate and rehab our men and women.
Perfect. Well, before I let you get going, just wanted to see if you had any general comments on your department's program, but about these types of programs in general and their importance to the fire service. I remember going back to the clean cab concept, for example, and my feeling on that was always that it could be a la carte, where you implement, you didn't have to go the full deal. You could implement different aspects of the clean cab concept and still be working toward the ultimate goal, which is reducing the chances of exposure to various contaminants. So even though these programs might not mirror yours exactly, at least from where I'm at, they are very important to the fire service. So just any general comments on yours and about these programs in general and their importance to the fire service?
Just that ours isn't perfect. We're constantly getting better. Trust your men and women. They're going to tell you what works and what doesn't work. Keep an idea of the studies. Here in Florida, we have the Health and Safety Collaborative, our Florida Fire Chiefs Association, our Florida Professional Firefighters are constantly doing studies. I think it's very important that we listen to those and help change what we're currently doing. Just a general comment on the people doing what they are doing. We have a lot of people that come into our department and look at our program. Man, I wish we can get there. We started with a box truck and one guy on it. Keep going. Start somewhere. If it's a van, if it's one, picking up gear, dropping it off. If it's cleaning, if it's a clean cab, if it's a second set of gear, start somewhere, because it takes that initial start to get to where you're going. And we're constantly learning. I've been in the fire service for quite a while, and I just continuously learning new things every day, new ways to help keep our men and women safe and healthy. So, and do it better than us, so I could steal it later. So
we all steal from each other. That's the nature of the fire service. If somebody down the road is doing it, there is no shame in stealing from each other.
No, and that's how we help. We're a big family, and I love it.
Well, my thanks to you again, Chief, for sitting down with me today to talk about this, and not only to talk about your specific program and lay it out so that people can see the different components of it that they might be able to adopt, but also just helping to continue to increase all of our awareness about exposure to contaminants that could cause cancer down the road. It not only raises awareness of just cancer in general, but it also reminds all of us that how we act today, what we do today when we leave a fire or when we're still on the scene of a fire, can have ramifications down the road when we're looking to just kind of sit back and enjoy life. So again, Chief, thank you very much for doing that. It's a critically important topic, and these are critically important programs. So again, this has been Chris McClune with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment, sitting down with Chief J.J. Martinez of the Pasco County, Florida Fire Rescue. If you have any topics that we haven't hit on yet that you'd like to see us explore a little bit, let me know. I'm at chris.mcclune@clarionevents.com. If you would like to check out our previous podcasts, they are all archived on our website, fireapparatusmagazine.com/podcasts, but they are also available on a variety of platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. So look for us there. If not, come over to the website. We've got the video version and the audio version going. So again, Chief, thank you very much for sitting down with me today. And everyone, have a good one and stay safe. Thanks again, Chief.